Right?
Right.
So my name is Sally Watts, and I welcome you here to this fellowship where we take pride in honoring the first people of this particular region, the Siuslaw Indians. We thank them for what they have provided to us and those generations, past, present, and future. Such a wonderful, wonderful tribe. What do you say? Should we sing Spirit of Life? We're just going to sing one verse. We did 3 last week, but I think one verse is appropriate. Words are in the program. Follow Jeff's lead on the music. Rise as you are able, and let's sing Spirit of Life. And remember, unless you're up here, to remain fully masked. And you are more than welcome. As a matter of fact, Kari would welcome a conversation with you after service today. Raise your hand, Kari, so everybody sees you. Yay, Kari! Also, Catherine Evans is available for affirmative prayer. And in our program, you will see some coming up events, the fall kayaking and hiking. We have a board meeting. Deborah, where's the board meeting going to be?
The library conference room.
The library conference room, okay? So if you want to come to the board meeting, 3:30 on Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday, thank you. And yeah, everybody's welcome. And also we have a concert on July 17th with Chris Chandler and Paul Benoit, his accompanying guitarist, I guess. So that's going to be on the 17th, right here at the Senior Center. Doors will open at 5:30, concert will begin at 6. Ruth has been very instrumental with this through our Starlight Cabaret program. So thank you, Ruth, for putting that together. Really appreciate it. You'll see more information, okay? And thank you all for signing this card to our Peace Health workers. There's 450 volunteers, caregivers, nurses, cooks, dishwashers, EVS, all the people at Peace Health Medical Center here in Florence that are stretched to the limit right now through COVID and everything else. The card that you all signed last week went to 55 physicians and our own Diana Gibson. And I know it was greatly appreciated. I know it was. I heard back from them and they said, thank you, thank you, thank you. How kind of you to think of them. So anyway, are there any other announcements before we continue? Jeff?
Next Saturday, 3 to 5, I'll be playing in Backstreet.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Good. 3 to 5, next Saturday, the 9th.
Yes.
9th. Yeah. Okay, good. And anything else? Yes, Deborah, you want to come forward?
Well, this is another renovation update. I'm trying to keep you all apprised of what's going on. The good news is that the drywalling is now completed. Things are moving along well. This coming week will be our contractor's last week with us. He's going to be doing the painting, and then the rest will be up to us. Okay, the not so good news is that we're a little further behind schedule now than we were due to a number of reasons. The drywalling took longer than we had planned for, so it's looking like we are probably going to be going into early August. We were aiming for the end of July, but it'll probably take a little longer than that. And the other not so good news is that we have reached the end of our budget, and the board of directors has a contingency plan in place in case that happened. So we will be discussing that at the upcoming board meeting, how to fund the end of the project. So far, all of the materials have already been purchased except for what we need for the countertops. And, well, as far as large purchases go, of course, there's a continuing need for smaller supplies and things as we go along. But the cost of labor is what has really pushed us over budget. It's been many more hours than we expected it to be. So right now we're over $15,000. About half of the budget has gone towards labor so far. We've got coming up on 350 hours now of paid labor. We've got more hours than that in volunteer labor, so that's good news, is that it could have been much worse. But the average we've paid for those hours is about $47 per hour,
Wow.
Which is a reasonable cost for skilled tradesmen. But it is what it is, so we are going to be pushing forward to complete the project. At this time, we're just about done with all the big projects that require the heavy lifting. And we're coming into a phase now where there are a lot of small projects that we could use some more volunteers to help us with. Things such as touch-up painting, installing molding. If we have anybody who is skilled at precision measuring and cutting and or has any experience laying LVP flooring, we could really use your help. Probably a week from Monday is when the flooring project will start. We're going to need, we could use help with shampooing the carpets and power washing. Anybody who's good with a power washer?
Oh, I love power wash.
All right. So these are all things that you would be able to volunteer a few hours or half a day or maybe even a full day. And so if you are able to do any of these things, let me know. Give me your contact information and we will get in touch with you.
I'm getting excited about this. It's going to be fun. To finally have our own space, have it be done, have it look good. I know Deborah and her team, they've got a good eye for the interior, and I know it's going to be exquisitely gorgeous, right?
Right.
Be very proud to walk inside that and see a new fellowship. So I don't think there's anybody here for the first time, is there? Oh, Jennifer.
Oh, you.
Hi, would you like to stand and introduce
It's
yourself?
really good to be here. I love you all.
It's really good to see you.
Maybe not Ray right now, but.
Yeah, exception.
For those who don't know, this is my spouse, Jennifer. I'm entitled to give her a hard time as long as she doesn't get mad at me. So our chalice lighting is by Reverend Joan Javier Duval, and it's titled, "You Are Beloved and You Are Welcome Here." So I'm going to light the chalice. No, Catherine is. Come on, Catherine. And we're going to do this responsive reading, which is inside your program. On the other side is our song for the day, our hymn, but this is going to be a responsive reading that Kari would like us to share. Okay? You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
This past week, or gleeful laughter spilled out of your smiling mouth.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful.
You are beloved, and you are welcome here.
whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection.
Let us worship together. I invite Catherine to come on up. We've got our portion that we call joys and concerns, joys and sorrows. And I'll let her describe the rest. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Is this the right, oh, this is pretty good, right underneath, huh? Takes it, all right, good. This is the time of the service where we share our triumphs and our transitions, our joys and concerns. About it up here. We do this to let ourselves be known, to be seen by our peers in all our beautiful and vulnerable states of being. So anyone that wants to line up here or approach the pulpit, or the podium rather.
Or I can give the microphone to you.
Yes. Karen's coming up. Anyone else wish to share? Come on forward.
I just have a quick announcement. Yesterday, we got a new dog,
Yes.
and he is adorable, but we won't take possession of him until a week from Tuesday, but there's a story behind that. But that is my joy. We lost our boxer a couple of months ago. We had to put him down. He was 14 and a half. And we've been thinking about what we're going to do to replace him, and we found the little guy. He's a mini Aussie Doodle.
And his name is?
His name is Shamrock.
Oh my God. Put a shell in for Shamrock.
For Shamrock.
Thank you, Karen.
I have a joy.
Yes.
So Jennifer and I were fortunate enough to entertain and host Kari Gottfried, our great speaker today. And what a joy. This woman is going to go far in UU ministry. You're going to love her today. And those that aren't here today and watching this on camera, you are in for a delightful message. So Kari, so good to have you with us.
I have one announcement or one sorrow. Gary, Paula's partner, and many of you have met him. Was extremely helpful, personable, funny, kind, is all of those things. But his health is declining. And Paula's going up to see him in a few days. And I have a card over there, if you'll please just sign it. It's one, people love getting these cards full of signatures, whether they know them or remember everyone here or not, they know it's coming from the heart of the FUUF Fellowship. So please sign that, and let's put one in for Gary and Paula. Yep. And the last shell, for all those that we don't know, the ones that are too shy, too afraid, too alone in their homes, or just sitting alone in that chair. You belong to us. You are in our circle of love. You are never alone. I'll end with a quote from Mark Nemo. I love this one. As we sing or create art or take time to live in beauty, the pain of the world cannot claim our lives. For it is the song, the art, the beauty from within that keeps the pain of living from snuffing out our lives. When we do this for ourselves, keeping the song, the art and beauty alive, we do it for a child not yet born. And so it is.
Thank you, Catherine. I love that portion of our service. It really just touches me.
So Jeff has selected our opening hymn, which is number one more step, and it's in your program on the other side of the responsive reading. And Jim is going, or Jim, What's your name again? Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Joe.
How you doing? He's gonna lead us through this. You wanna stand and sing one more step? That would be fabulous. Kari Gottfried is a rising senior studying religion at Wellesley College, just outside of Boston. You like that one, right, George? Boston. Kari has been a popular guest speaker at FUUF many times over the last few years. As a matter of fact, the first time she spoke and was with us was the day after she graduated from high school. Yep. Now she's going into her senior year, so we've come a long way. Raised in the UU Fellowship of Corvallis, Kari has always been surrounded by her UU community, including those of us at FUUF. But for many UU young adults, after graduation, bridging from high school, their connections to Unitarian Universalism may be strained. Today, let's enjoy how Kari has navigated young adulthood and her UU identity in these past few years, and what's in store for the UU youth in our country. Please welcome Kari Gottfried.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to be back with you all in this new space. I'm so excited to hear about all the renovations you're doing on UU Fellowship. And Sally told me about this setup with the chairs and the tables in advance, so I'd like to take advantage of this new space, change it up a little bit to get started. If you could turn to somebody next to you, and if you're not near anyone, feel free to move closer or quietly reflect to yourself and share in a sentence or two, so pretty briefly, what brought you to Unitarian Universalism. So go ahead and do that now.
To meet people, to be connected with good people.
So, for me, I was raised on fair trade coffee and love in the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Corvallis. And like many UUs, maybe even some of you, my parents discovered this faith when they went looking for a spiritual community to raise their new family in. And as far back as I can remember, my Sunday mornings consisted of a short walk down the hill to our fellowship, sitting in the sanctuary with my family for the first part of the service, before walking out the doors, with the lyrics of "Go Now in Peace" trailing behind me and joining my peers in our religious exploration classes. A lot of people I know say that Unitarian Universalism saved their life. I've never said it saved my life, but it definitely changed it. At my first UU Youth Conference, or CON, I clung to the seniors who came with me from my home congregation, grateful to follow them as they introduced me to their friends over the weekends. But by the time the next con was rolling around, they had all graduated and I was left to fend for myself. So I did what I thought was the most logical thing. I signed up for absolutely every leadership position I could possibly have. And by the fall of my sophomore year of high school, I was on the district youth board and on con staff. And a year later, I was in charge of both of them and on my way to national youth leadership within the Unitarian Universalist Association. I remember one event at Cedar Lane UU congregation in Bethesda, Maryland, where the rest of the staff were occupied with some small crisis, and I was alone in a room full of 100 or so youth or young adults, wondering aloud when the programming would start up again. And instead of wandering along with them or slinking off to a corner, I stepped on the stage, and I grabbed a microphone. And without any hesitation, I started singing the song of Ruth. I'd like to teach that one to you all today. So I'll do a call and response, I'll sing a line, and I'd like you all to sing as well. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go. Do that again. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Here's the next part. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Do you feel that? The moment after we sang together, a stillness hung in the air. A feeling of reverence and awe for the connections we had to each other, the interdependent web of existence. Your people are my people. The exhaustion of the day, the confusion about what was going on next with our programming, the stress of not knowing what was happening with the rest of our staff, all of that was unimportant in the moment. Sometimes belonging is giving from a place of abundance and direction. Now, of course, I've deeply loved the work that I did and the impact that I've made in those spaces, but mostly I was just grateful to be needed. Being involved in UU communities has given me passion and purpose. It's made me feel like I wasn't alone, that there was something out there that mattered more than grades and high school friend group drama. Whether I was checking people into an event, coordinating volunteers or staff, or facilitating small group conversations, I had the chance to make meaningful connections with my peers in spaces where it was literally my job to do so. Sometimes belonging is extending a welcome and inviting someone else in when you yourself are feeling lonely. It's hard to feel excluded when you're in charge of everything. Now, often advice is given that when you're feeling sad, try to do something to help somebody else. My interpretation of that was when I was feeling lonely, I'd do something to help make somebody else feel less alone. But that also led to extreme exhaustion and burnout, and by the time that I bridged, transitioning from youth to young adult spaces, I would have picked being lonely over being in charge any day. I began to recommit myself to learning the sacred practice of saying no. Taking space away from the leadership opportunities in the Pacific Western region where I had spent so much of my teen years. I moved from Oregon to Massachusetts to begin school at Wellesley College just outside of Boston, where I am about to enter my 4th and final year. And since then, I've been a guest at many UU churches, and I'm so grateful to have been a guest at yours. This would be quite a shock to my 14-year-old self. At the time, believe it or not, I was completely unaware of the world of Unitarian Universalism outside of my fellowship in Corvallis. In fact, it wasn't until my senior year of high school that I'd even heard about FUUF through a member of my fellowship who was moving from Corvallis to Florence. And now I've traveled to dozens of UU communities throughout the continent and even more virtually. Sometimes I'm a guest preacher, but often I'm simply a guest. And when I moved to Boston for college, I did what many religious people do when they move to a new place. I went church shopping. Now, in one congregation I visited, no one spoke to me the entire time I was there, except for one person who recognized me from Facebook. In another, I was invited to be on a committee before being even asked for my name. Everywhere I went, I felt either invisible or tokenized. So I stopped going to church on Sundays, like many young adults who were raised UU, unless I was guest preaching somewhere. Now, in some UU spaces, we don't call the process of transition from youth to young adulthood bridging, but rather cliffing. For many UU youth, the bridge is not complete. For many UU youth, we drop off and don't return for many years, or perhaps ever. I was petrified that this would happen to me. As you've heard, I was incredibly involved in leadership as a youth. And as you know, I've had the joy of being able to connect with many Unitarian Universalist congregations in the past few years through guest preaching, meeting incredible people like Sally and Jennifer, and really all of you who feel like family. But as much as I love you all, most of the time I am on the other side of the country. And I needed something closer, with other UUs my age, to fill the void in my life that bridging out of youth community had created. I knew my spirit would not survive without some source of Unitarian Universalism. And I would challenge anyone to declare that I am not UU enough. At Goldmine, a regional leadership school that I attended in high school, we were asked, if you were arrested for being a Unitarian Universalist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? And although the question perhaps hits a little bit closer to home as the religious right continues to push for colonial Christian hegemony, I still think the question is an important one. If you were arrested for being a Unitarian Universalist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Now, even if you ignored the 1, 2, 3, however many chalices I have right now, there are more than enough examples of the way I act, the words I say, and the activities I'm involved in for any judge or jury to reach a guilty verdict. And one example is this book that I'm holding right now, Becoming. Becoming is a compilation of prayers and stories written specifically to help young UUs in the transition from youth to young adulthood. I've been gifted several copies of this book throughout the years, and I've passed all but this first copy off to others. And this first copy has been read through so many times. The pages are worn from my fingers poring over the words of wisdom, the paper damaged from the salt of my tears, and the flame of the chalice when I was not quite careful enough. This book is also much thicker than when I got it, a result of the careful pasting of every kind note I have ever received in youth and young adult communities, as well as the words that were printed in this book. And I hold this book of Becoming, as proof that I have clung to this faith through young adulthood, keeping the flame of Unitarian Universalism alive with me everywhere I go. Unitarian Universalism has been a space for me to play, to question, to act, to challenge, to grow. And through my own experiences and my work as a coordinator of one of Unitarian Universalism's largest and fastest growing campus ministry programs in Boston, I've come to really understand that what young adults want most and need most right now is not something to do, but somewhere to be, somewhere to belong, somewhere to become. Now, most of you are on a very different part of your life's journey than I am, but I think that the feelings of belonging and becoming that young adults struggle to find are themes that show up in our transitions all through our lives. Whether you're getting a new job, moving to a new place, raising children and sending them away on their own paths, retiring, or simply continuing to adjust to this ever-changing world that we are all a part of. We are always growing into ourselves and our communities. Mickey Scott Bay Jones, inspired by a poem by Beth Strano, invites us to think not of creating safe spaces, but brave spaces. They say, together, we will create brave space. Because there is no such thing as safe space. We exist in the real world. Brave spaces are places that not only we can feel belonging in, but that we can become our truest, our best selves. Becoming can be many things, all at the same time, both independently and interdependently. I try every day to listen to myself and to those around me and lean more deeply into becoming myself, whatever that looks like and feels like in the moment. So I leave you with this. What does it look like for you to create places of belonging and becoming? What do you need to belong? What do you need to become? In this next time of musical meditation, take the time to ask yourself these questions, and I would love to hear some of your answers after the service.
Thank you, Kari. What a delight. Coming and belonging. I had a chance to quietly think about that during Jeff's wonderful music. I appreciate that opportunity. Thank you. We hope you'll come back soon, next time you're close enough to us, okay? Our community partner for July and August, you all voted on some community partners coming up, and the board has selected Food Backpacks for Kids as our community partner for July and August. And I'm inviting two of you to come forward as one of our community outreach champions, and he's going to share with you just a little bit about Food Backpacks for Kids. I know some of us know this, but many new people, so come on, two of you.
Thank you, Sally. It's an honor to have the opportunity to do good things for people who need help in our community. Hunger is a serious issue. Kids need to develop physically and emotionally during their formative years. Backpacks for Kids meets the needs of our youngest Florence and Mapleton citizens who would otherwise go hungry with empty pantry at home. When we were younger, we relied on the big people to help us, and now it's our turn. Backpacks for Kids is actually a national program with chapters in towns where there is a need, and is coordinated with other local community organizations. And here, it's coordinated with Food Share, Seattle Outreach, Helping Hands, and others. And it's hosted by Crossroads Church. Children are given a package of food for the weekends on Fridays with menu instructions on what to combine to make a complete meal. During the week, schools offer breakfast, lunch, and after-school snacks through government programs. But it is Backpacks for Kids that fills the need to feed on the weekends. So more information will be in this week's blast. Please be generous when the basket comes around, as the kids are the future, and they are counting on us.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Generosity is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. You are now invited to participate in a blessing of giving. Please remember that all our lives, we are in need, and others are in need of us. If you're unable to contribute today, that's fine. Just please offer your silent prayer of thanks as the basket passes by. And before we enjoy the music provided by Jeff, please repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed
I've asked Karen to help. She's going to pass the basket through, and Jeff's going to play some wonderful music. I also want to remind anybody listening that if you wish to donate to either this community partner or FUUF, you can do so by sending a check to FUUF, to our P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, or visit our website and click on the donate button, and you can do that through your PayPal or your credit card. Enjoy the music. We thank you for your spiritual practice of giving. Your contributions and love are received in grateful appreciation. Catherine, would you like to come forward and extinguish our chalice? Your closing words come from Chris Rothbauer, titled, May Our Lives. May our lives be reflections of the beauty, peace and joy that is possible in the world. And may the love we find in this place sustain us as we go our separate ways. Blessed be. So remember, stop and talk with Kari before you leave. Catherine is available for affirmative prayer in the room right behind us. And I ask that you rise and let's form a circle around the chairs. Hold hands or lock arms as you are able. And we're going to say our peace out.
Close together.
Forward, let's come around this way. We're on a turn. Oh, I gotta put my mask on, I'm sorry. Okay, are we ready?
We are ready.
Jeff, you want to come join us?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with love.